The crow was an omen, he went on. If you knew about crows, you would have avoided the place like the plague. Crows aren't always available to give warning, though, and you must learn to find, by yourself, a proper place to camp or to rest. After a long pause, Don Juan suddenly turned to me and said that in order to find the proper place to rest, all I had to do was to cross my eyes. He gave me a knowing look and in a confidential tone told me that I had done precisely that when I was rolling on his porch, and thus I had been capable of finding 2 spots and their colors. He let me know that he was impressed by my accomplishment. I really don't know what I did, I said. You crossed your eyes, he said emphatically. That's the technique. You must have done that, although you don't remember it. Don Juan then described the technique, which he said took years to perfect, and which consisted of gradually forcing the eyes to see separately the same image. The lack of image conversion entailed a double perception of the world. This double perception, according to Don Juan, allowed one the opportunity of judging changes in the surroundings, which the eyes were ordinarily incapable of perceiving. Don Juan coaxed me to try it. He assured me that it wasn't injurious to the sight. He said that I should begin by looking in short glances, almost with the corners of my eyes. He pointed to a large bush and showed me how. I had a strange feeling, seeing Don Juan's eyes taking incredibly fast glances at the bush. His eyes reminded me of those of a shifty animal that can't look straight. We walked for perhaps an hour while I tried not to focus my sight on anything. Then Don Juan asked me to start separating the images perceived by each of my eyes. After another hour or so, I got a terrible headache and had to stop. Do you think you could find by yourself a proper place for us to rest? He asked. I had no idea what the criterion for a proper place was. He patiently explained that looking in short glances allowed the eyes to pick out unusual sights. Such as what? I asked. They aren't sights proper, he said. They're more like feelings. If you look at a bush or a tree or a rock where you may like to rest, your eyes can make you feel whether or not that's the best resting place. I again urged him to describe what those feelings were, but he either could not describe them, or he simply didn't want to. He said that I should practice by picking out a place, and then he would tell me whether or not my eyes were working. At one moment, I caught sight of what I thought was a pebble, which reflected light. I couldn't see it if I focused my eyes on it, but if I swept the area with fast glances, I could detect a sort of faint glitter. I pointed out the place to Don Juan. It was in the middle of an open, unshaded, flat area, devoid of thick bushes. He laughed uproariously, and then asked me why I had picked that specific spot. I explained that I was seeing a glitter. I don't care what you see, he said. You could be seeing an elephant. How you feel is the important issue. I didn't feel anything at all. He gave me a mysterious look and said that he wished he could oblige me and sit down to rest with me there, but he was going to sit somewhere else while I tested my choice. I sat down while he looked at me curiously from a distance of 30 or 40 feet away. After a few minutes, he began to laugh loudly. Somehow, his laughter made me nervous. It put me on edge. I felt he was making fun of me, and I got angry. I began to question my motives for being there. There was definitely something wrong in the way my total endeavor with Don Juan was proceeding. I felt that I was just a pawn in his clutches.